Thanks for coming, everybody. I wanted to let everybody know that we are currently working on our mission statement, right? So every nonprofit has a mission statement that you register with the Secretary of State and the IRS, right, as part of your nonprofit. And Sason has been talking about for a number of years. Sason is our founder. She was the founding abbot. And so she's been encouraging for a number of years that we take a look at our mission statement and just update it. It's pretty much been the same for long time. Um, and so we have this kind of working group of about 9 or 10 people, people on the leadership, some residents, some non-practicing board members, some greater Sangha people to kind of have a full representation of our community, meeting every month or so, basically for the for the duration of the year to really look at what is our mission statement. What are we here to do? And of course, once we come up with a solid draft, we'll send it to the whole membership and we can have full community buy-in. And it's a long, intimate process. But something that came up recently in that process is the circle asked me as abbot, since the abbot is kind of steering the vision, as Sason would say, really carrying the vision of the place, they actually asked for me to write what's my personal vision for the center. Not that that would be it, but that that might be informative. So I was hesitant to do that, but I respected the wishes to hear that. And so as I was kind of doing my practice of like, what is my vision here? One thing that is very strong, as many of you may know, is my work in anti-racism and diversity, right? Social justice, but like the racial part specifically. And some of y'all may resonate with that, some may not. There are certainly a lot of anti-woke, anti-social justice sentiments in the world. And particularly interesting to me is that even in our community, there have been a number of people of color who are really not down with social justice, really not down with anti-racist language and activity. That's just on a side, but that's just so interesting to me that there's a lot of different perspectives on how to work with equality and equity. But it is a personal drive of mine to really focus on anti-racism, diversity, radical inclusion, and equity in our Sangha, in the expression of our Zen here. And that might be for a number of reasons. One of them being that my parents actually met through Angela Davis and the Black Panthers. So I'm literally here on this earth because of anti-racist work. So I'm assuming that might have something to do with it. So, whether that shows up in our official mission statement or not, I don't know. But it is definitely always alive in me to center anti-racist and social justice work in our Dharma here. And when you really start to get into it, it's not so simple of what that looks like, right? How do we do that? Is it just simply saying, our doors are open to everyone, everyone's welcome? Well, that's a nice start. But to really look at how do we do that? If we look at Zen, not just here, but across the country, convert American Zen Buddhism is heavily dominated by white folks. That's who gravitated towards it in the 50s and 60s. That's who built it. That's who made the power structures. And it's I think that the Dharma will benefit greatly from opening up and seeing greater diversity. And so we do things like invite people of color, teachers of color, Buddhist teachers of color to give talks. We have anti-racist study groups. We have councils centered on race, all these things. And there's still a lot of barriers. And, you know, one really important aspect to me of anti-racist work is really seeing that we are all racist, that we do live in a country that was built on principles of white supremacy, and that all of us um, are, it is ingrained so deeply. White supremacy is ingrained so deeply. And so to really get to this place of acceptance that Sweetwater Zen Center is a racist Zen center, it's really hard. Very unnerving to really look at that. I am a racist person. Really hard to do that. We're all so eager to show how not racist we are. And it was such an opening for me to actually, you know, see over the years and really just accept, man, no matter how loving, no matter how knowledgeable, no matter how much effort I put towards whatever, we are ingrained in this karma of a racialized country built on white supremacy. I don't know. That's my view. And then I was put on to this chart, which I wanted to show everyone. I'm not a huge fan of charts usually, but this one really captured me. I'm going to share it right now. Where'd you go? Sharing screen. Then we go here. Nope, we're going to go here. There we go. Can everybody see that? Yes. Awesome. So, this is from a group, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. They switched around the DEI to EDI, Mindfulness Consulting. And this chart really opened up the floodgates for me. It shows the progression of an organization, and if anyone here wants to turn and look at the TV, the chart is up there. The progression of an organization from exclusionary, or let's say racist or bigoted or whatever you want to say, all the way to completely intersectional and anti-racist. And it has these 6 categories that kind of work as a progression. So in the first stage, you see things like just maintaining a dominant group's power and privilege, overtly discriminating and segregating, resists non-discriminatory compliance measures, power and resources are highly concentrated from the top, colonial and segregating logic, all these things. So I think, you know, we might feel pretty good that we don't necessarily fall into some of these categories. And then you move on into stage 2, and then we get to stage 3. So we're still kind of in the towards the non-inclusive side, even in stage 3. And even there, non-discriminatory compliance measures, some diverse representation, surface level efforts of inclusion, no attention to structural change, and using the logic of colorblind compliance. I don't see color. Everyone's the same. Everyone's welcome. Now we start to see, oh, this actually does apply to us a little bit. Moving to stage 4, we start to value interpersonal differences. We actively seek diverse recruitment. But members are still expected to fit into dominant culture status quo. Does that sound familiar? With all of the forms that we do, all the things you do when you go into the teacher's room. So is that something we're willing to let go of? These are all just questions. So we don't have to go through all of them, but then we, move on all the way to the end, and a fully intersectional and anti-racist organization. Ooh.
Sorry, I'm just trying to see the chart. I can't see that.
Oh,
even
I'm
with
sorry.
glasses on. No, it's my eyes.
And I'll send it out. I'll send it out to everybody for sure. So in the final stage, we have a standard of full representation, engagement, and power sharing. Our mission, our values, culture, operations, and services have diverse groups and communities. Leaders and all members act to eliminate all forms of oppression within the organization. So, if you look at our organization, as open and as loving and as progressive and liberal as we may be, the abbot is a white male. And the whole leadership circle right now is white. And all the people running the services and most of the people running the circles and all the operations are white. So, I don't really know. It's, always kind of fluid and stuff. But I would kind of put us somewhere in stage 3 or stage 4 out of 6. We are a racist Zen center. I'm not making that statement as much as I'm kind of offering that as a koan to sit with. So I think a big part of my job here will be to investigate how we can maintain the integrity of our tradition and move closer to this 6th stage of intersectional anti-racist organization. Let's stop the share here, and I'll share that chart with everybody. And so, I've wanted to center this kind of talk and this kind of language for a while, and it's always seemed like, oh, well, I should wait for the right moment, as if there would be some kind of, Juneteenth, February, Black History Month, you know what I mean? But then this week I was thinking about it, and I was just like, fuck it, like right now. Let's just go. Let's just do it. Whether there's enough people in the yurt or not, whether there's enough people of color here or not, just go. Let's just start. And if you didn't read my email I sent yesterday, it's good timing, because this book that I want to use to kind of start this conversation and to really look at this, the author of the book is scheduled to give a talk here on October 5th. So that is scarily in just a few months, or a couple months. It's amazing. And so I thought now would be a good time to kind of start a series talking about this book, and then she'll come and kind of wrap that up, at least for the time being. So I think it'll be nice for us to have a little background in the book and in her work before she comes. Is everybody down with that? Yeah, we're good. Everyone down online? And you know what? Maybe anti-racism is not your passion. Maybe that doesn't resonate with you. Maybe you're one of these people who thinks we live in a post-racial society and it's irrelevant and it's a waste of time. And you are welcome here too. That's huge. Conservatives are welcome here. Everybody is welcome here. And the good thing about this book that we're going to talk about, and a lot of the principles that we're going to be going over, even though it's kind of framed within an anti-racist context, it really does translate to all forms of exclusion and bigotry and hatred. So even if you hate woke people, these principles might help you to address that hate and that discomfort. So I've already spent most of the time introducing it. But yeah, we're going to talk about this book. I sent a link yesterday in the email. It's called Home is Here, Practicing Anti-Racism with the Engaged Eightfold Path. So basically, the author, Reverend Leon Shutt, who is a queer Asian American woman in the San Francisco Zen Center lineage, so a slightly different lineage from ours, but still in the Soto Zen world. She wrote this book. She started a school. She offers classes and workshops. It's really her life's work, to really blend, to really nail the marriage of anti-racist activism and this practice of awakening to our true self. Um, a common interpretation of the Buddha's teachings is your suffering is because of your own desire and attachments. Then try telling that to someone who has a life full of trauma, abuse, oppression, exclusion. You suffer because of your own stuff. Doesn't quite jive. And so, how to reconcile that? How to talk about how those two things can exist? The outside needs to change, and I can awaken to my own perfection, my own Buddha nature, no matter what circumstances are against me. How to talk about that is very difficult. And particularly as a white teacher, it's a very sensitive area. So I'm so grateful to have this resource and other resources that we've looked at before, where someone who really has this lived experience within our lineage and tradition, it's really valuable. So yeah, Reverend Leon Shutt, she started in a monastic practice in California in the Suzuki lineage. Then she trained in Japan for a while, and now she's been a teacher for decades, both a Zen teacher and an activist and an anti-racist, I don't want to say expert, but shepherd, steward, facilitator. And she's sharp, man. She's cold. To use some old Zen language, she is cold and sharp and good. And her book really addresses a lot of these tension points in our work as activists and Zen Buddhists. So we don't have too much time to listen, but I really want to let her speak for a lot of this so we can hear it coming from her mouth, because she narrates her own audiobook, because your boy don't do so great reading the pages, so he gets the audiobook. So hopefully everyone's okay with that, but feel free to get the book and read the actual thing. So we'll just kind of start briefly here. Let's see, we're gonna advanced share audio. And I hope everyone at home can hear this. Please let me know if you don't. So we're gonna go 1 minute. So yeah, we'll just kind of start with our intro. I don't think we're gonna get through the whole book really in the couple of months we have before she gets here, but we'll do what we can. We'll get through what we can. We'll talk about what we can, and I hope it starts an intimate conversation for our Sangha. So let's take a listen.
In each moment, we are located in lineage, in ancestry, by others, by ourselves, by sight, by perception, by differentiation, by discrimination, by institutions, by policies, by governmental structures, by systems of oppressions, by homophobia, by sexism, by gender phobia, by white supremacy culture, by racism, by erasure, by invisibilization, by exclusion, by inclusion, by equity, by love, with hatred, with fear, with anxiety, with love, with care, with tenderness, with joy, in isolation, in community, in belonging, in the world, in time, in space, in emptiness, in wholeness.
So that's the first little snippet I wanted to get to. Online people, did we hear that? Is it clear? Yay, technology! Um, so this is a really nice way to start this book. I think she's talking about location, knowing your location. I love that language. Where are you located? And then she named all these different ways that we're located. Another way that that's talked about is intersectionality. Maybe we've heard that phrase before. She kind of expands there on intersectionality to include things like time and space, community, isolation, fear, love, all these things. And really, I just think that's such a sharp, clear, fresh way to actually talk about karma. This is what location is our karma. The causes, effects, and conditions that have brought us to who and where and what we are right now. Your karma is the result of beginningless and endless causes and effects from before the Big Bang until after the universe is swallowed whole or whatever. That is your karma, and that is where you're located. And to really be in touch with that is so important, not only in activism, but for our Zen practice. To know who we are and why we are and where we are in any given moment. And, even Dogen talks at length about how important it is to be in touch with cause and effect. Not just our actions. If I steal your pizza, that's a bad thing to do. But that we are nothing more than the sets of causes and effects that brought us here. And as I was listening, this also brings up for me, the other Buddhist teaching of no location, no karma, emptiness, right? Theoretically speaking, we sit zazen intensively, to have this experience of total oneness with all time, all space, all causes, and all conditions. So one that in fact there is no location. To make any separation between this place and that place is just that, separation. So, and that's just a thing. That experience of no location, no self, no place is a thing. It's not an idea. So how do we jive this no location and know your location? And the best way that I thought to talk about it today is that they really work hand in hand. And this experience of seeing, oh, there is no location. I am not a separate entity in some kind of separate world. That experience actually allows us to see more clearly cause and effect, right? When we're just kind of lost and buying into this reality of separation and duality, then we can't really see the forest through the trees. We're just attached to what tree we're trying to conquer now. But when we can really see the big picture of this oneness, of no location, then we have the clarity to be aware of our actual location in our karmic reality. Starting to feel a little jumbled. I know that may not make too much sense, but just wanted to really kind of start this conversation um, by highlighting the importance of no location in highlighting the importance of our location, being able to see it and be able to dance with both of those realities and how important they both are, is our practice. And to be able to manifest no location and complete awareness of our location in every moment, that's our practice. And that's a great place to start this conversation. I'm going to end there. And yeah, over the next couple months, I'm just going to kind of try to pick the best excerpts from this book that really highlight the engaged Four Noble Truths and the engaged Eightfold Path that Reverend Lien points out in this book. And hopefully it will get us started on this endless journey towards wholeness and love.